Hi there, very good morning and welcome to Smart Men's Business. Today is the 18th of July, it's a Tuesday. I'm Andrew Barrigian, definitely joined with Mercy Katsime here this morning. Mercy, how are you? It's been quite a while, but I'm grateful that you're healthy and you're fine, right?
Of course, and of course, good morning to you, Andrew. Thank you for having me in your prayers.
Yeah.
But we are back regardless. Everything is well, and of course, thank you for tuning in, whoever is on. And this is Smart Men's Business, your daily kickstart, and we're here to give you the very best when it comes to business, entertainment, and very much more. So stick around, we have more for you.
All right, quite very amazing, as Mercy has said. Stick around. We have quite lots of stories to discuss about, and today the mere fact that our point of discussion is going to be relying on the taxes. I mean, enhancing the tax revenue, because Mercy, get realized that actually this financial year there have been taxes that have been introduced. And some of these have actually, with an intention actually of increasing the tax base. Remember, part of our budget, we need to reduce on the domestic borrowing, so we have to enhance lots of taxes, despite the fact of that. And, well, we see that taxes have been one of the key issues which have led to riots in Kenya. Right now, actually, protests. Not until recently, President Ruto said that, you know what, I'm going to suppress this dude, I'm going to suppress the opposition, Raila Odinga, onto that perspective, but all because of taxes, So, I don't know, Ugandans, it's quite interesting. I don't know how we're going to receive these new taxes. I know it's really important, but what really hurts the most is that people collect these taxes, but they don't see the results of these taxes.
Definitely.
That's what people really want to see. For example, the roads are in a very horrible state till now.
Despite the money that they allocated,
that was allocated.
KCC and definitely. Anyway, we are still in the year. Definitely, we have. Some few months. Something may take place, really. Have hope.
All right, let's have hope, as Mercy has said in there. But of course, before we proceed into any further discussions, all these discussions are powered by Zabu, a platform from all Texas, East Africa, which just made your trading experience much more easy. It's yet another day. It's a fresh day. Now the markets are back in operation. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite very simple. *92# is the USSD code for you there, which will enable you with a number of options, while you'll be in position to buy government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the markets will be opening at 8:15 a.m., running all the way to 3:15 p.m. And this is effective from Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when these markets cannot be accessed. But, of course, despite the fact you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge profits, something which I believe personally that it's quite very key and influential for your personal financial growth and development as a trader, and even as somebody that is pursuing a career. It could be in any other related field. Zab made this a reality, but don't forget that on top of *92#, you register with your national identification number, and definitely the rest will be very amazing. Zab says, my money, my future, and all Texas East Africa tells us, do something new for yourself. It's the year 2023. And now, starting off with our morning call, of course, we see something here to do with refurbishing the Malaba-Kampala meter gauge railway. And of course, government seeking 209 million euros for the project.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money, by the way, 200 million euros. It's a lot of money. Of course, we see that the National Economy and the Fiscal Infrastructure Committees of Parliament have actually being tasked to scrutinize, that is, government's proposal to borrow 852 billion shillings loan to rehabilitate the Kampala-Malaba meter gauge railway. And the parliament had approved a running loan of about 327 million pounds in 2021 for some purpose. But however, later from the African Development Bank informed government that is of the new facility worth 852 billion, which is available under the same terms and conditions, railway transport. I mean, when you look at the entire East African continent, we seem to be the country that has the worst railway development. In some countries, of course, even Kenya has doing some sorts of maintenance extensions here and there. But at least there is something. It's still in operation. But this was put on hold actually last year, if I'm not mistaken. They talked about maintenance. And since we're talking about East African integration, well, I think there is something that we can't avoid. We can't do away with. Well, let's get into this discussion. Of course, after this, we shall be returning to Sambisa.
The loan amount is 200.9 million euros. It is going to fund the refurbishment of the Kampala-Maraba meter gauge railway. We initially passed it in May 2021. And later on, the bank decided to revise the loan downwards, and we had to come back here. And that is why we are here, to seek for authorization of Parliament to allow us to go ahead with the borrowing so that we can be able to implement the project. The project basically is seeking to minimize to achieve the reduction in the cost of transport, especially for the goods which we import through the Mombasa port.
That is in matters of expansion. That is Minister for the General Duties within the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Well, now, away from that, let's take a look at what's happening to the press. I've got the Daily Monitor with me, and Masika Tume will be taking us through the new vision in there as we take a look. But maybe if we could start with the Daily Monitor here. Of course, we see gloves off at FDC, and of course, taking a look at the Forum for Democratic Change. Once the formidable opposition party that is in the country is staring down middle right before our eyes, according to the Daily Monitor here, with party bigwigs trading barbs in the open amidst counter accusations about corruption, of course, loss of trust, breakdown of structures, and irremediable differences. Definitely further details. If you're really interested to follow up this story, you will get them as you get yourself this copy of the Daily Monitor there.
And yes. Of course, crossing over to the new vision, Mao speaks out on Museveni's transition, and he claims to know General Muhoozi, having known General Muhoozi for a long time. Definitely more of the story, interesting story. If you're into politics, there's juice into this story.
Definitely. We'll find out that.
Story. And of course, regarding health, Naguru Hospital to close for 1 year. Juice says to know, we shall know more about this story with time. And of course, Ayume's, okay, this is about depression and of course suicidal attempts, mental health issues.
Majority of people sometimes we suffer mental issues unknowingly, and sometimes the worst place you can ever be at is you being infested with something and you don't know, because you are going to affect the people around you at the end of the day, right?
I think was it on Sunday?
Yeah,
a friend of mine was telling me they got, but I don't know if it's true, bipolar after school. Why? I think after like that, when you're depressed that period after school and before you employed or get a job, there is always that situation around. You hate yourself. You hate yourself. Yeah. So people have suicidal thoughts. And of course, they have mood swings. So definitely that causes for mental checkup, really.
Really?
We need guidance. We need guidance. Guidance.
With psychic
therapy.
evaluation.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's actually mental health is a very, very, very big thing.
And hypnotic therapy is also good. You know, there is a state, did I tell you yesterday something about being in a state whereby you lack motivation? That can also lead to suicidal thoughts. I mean, it brings you to this perspective that none I'll ever do that will ever come out to something.
Oh.
You know, quite a very, and maybe I see something here still on the top page which says government study loan scheme favors the rich. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And members of parliament have said that they are concerned that poor students are being left out, contrary to what it was.
Actually,
intended.
I must say this has been a complaint mostly to those public institutions. I don't want to put a name to any of them, but
Of course.
it has been a complaint for quite a while. You know, these forms they fill in, what are they called?
Forms for
Yes, for these schemes and
For the schemes,
yes,
okay.
yes, definitely. You know, you really put your heart into it and feeling. We do not have electricity, but at the end of the day, I've seen. I have friends who actually got onto that, and they are from well-off families.
They are from well-off
At the end of the day, you
families.
have to give in something for that. You have to definitely give in something.
Then it's not a scheme to help out people. I mean, let them make it straightforward that it's meant for the rich. Yeah. Well, some saddening aspects in here. Driver of a killer truck failed to brake. I know, man, accidents have been an issue recent. You know, I saw something, I think it was yesterday, still in the morning hours. Somebody, a taxi from Hoima, landed into a truck and 16 people were feared dead. Man, that's almost the entire people in the taxi.
Yeah, 14. What?
16?
We are
Probably there
taxi.
probably were some extras and all that. So,
wow, so actually traveling now is really, you have to be cautious, you have to pray
Absolutely.
about certain things. And of course here I see soft drinks farms accuse Chinyara of irregular price hike. And then of course government to hold emergency meeting over the sugar tax. Of course, things actually, have you realized, have you purchased bread? Bread is a bit, expensive.
lately,
Is it a soft loaf? Soft loaf is actually
5,000?
Yeah.
5,000. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
no, it was at 3,000.
3,500.
The small one. So,
Now the small one is at 5,000. It's been a while since.
3,500.
Oh, that's the small one. So the big one is 5,000.
6K.
One of these days we shall. With time we're going to be buying it at 10,000. By the way.
It is
Okay,
what it
unless
is.
things really get back to how they're supposed to operate.
And it's funny how people were like, oh, now the inflation reduced. So, and why are the things hiking?
That's why I normally say that I don't really mind about what the stakeholders say about the state of the economy. I believe the best person to tell me what the state of the economy is the Mutuawasi, what they feel about that. Because for you're speaking from your perspective, because you probably even don't know what it means. Some of them even don't know what love costs. There are people that go shop for them and everything they bring back there. So, what does that imply?
And of course, OPM supports women groups to secure market, and that of course the Office of the Prime Minister has intensified its support women groups in refugee hosting districts to secure the market of their poultry products and farm produce. That is, of course, in Jumani district where the OPM assistant was at. And of course we see poultry here. Poultry actually, if you know the trick around poultry, it has money. People never lose out on eating meat, poultry, meat, chicken.
The only challenge comes in maintenance of these breeds. They fall sick easily, some of them, and you see, okay, if you're blessed and you get the right breed, that is resistant. But that's the biggest issue. So you have to be sort of monitoring
Should we say they have to give them support and also support with this, and of course, you know, some sensitization on what to do? And
yeah, they need to understand.
yes, they need to understand how this thing goes. You know, you may give you hands and they die the next day. So,
the next days.
so what is in for you? So definitely we have to give you a sensitization. They tell you vaccinate or do this and
Vaccinate
this,
and all that.
You know, so that you keep your poultry alive and have some money.
The best, even producing of the best meat. Okay. Now, still here, of course, we saw something on the top page about the FDC splitting up. Now, we see here that state money claims split top FDC bosses. Money is not, anyways, it's something that we can't do away with.
And of course, right here, UPDF officer detained over extorting money from foreigners. Yes, now they're gonna...
money doing UPDF officer detained?
Yeah, for extorting money from foreigners.
You see, now that is greed.
Yeah.
But now you see, yesterday we saw it out.
It's going to UPDF now. You know, UPDF soldiers usually have discipline.
Yeah, but
This
I mean...
is a stray...
You see, I saw something yesterday on, you know, there was something about UPDF, the commercial arm, forming a private force. Yeah, I mean, so if you have money, you can hire them and they can protect you.
Wow, okay.
You know, they call it in the army, they call that private contractors. You know, actually some governments can use private armies to execute foreign missions. So now if that is happening in there, I'm trying to assume, because, okay, there ought to be regulation. Okay, just to make it much more clear, most especially in this, of course, we already have security companies in this country, but they are not as equipped as the UPDF.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so once it becomes that force, and once the greed of money is involved, that can be dangerous.
That's definitely going to
you know,
bring issues.
and that's okay. It's been the talk of most of the Ugandans out there on social media. Actually, some people were believing that are they going to scrap off this entire army and it becomes entirely commercial. I mean, lots of people, you know, when something comes out, I think sometimes because people are a little bit tensioned, they think about so many options. They're like, what could it be? What could that be? But anyway, let's wait and see there. Now, here I can see 288 diplomatic passport applications cancelled. As a result of that, of course, finding out the reason as to why, you can find that out when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Well, right about now, as we heading straight to the traffic, the images that you're taking a look at there are coming in from Wandegea, as you can actually take a look. Yeah, when I get to my view here, it's quite, that's Makerere Road, right? Yeah, it's, today it seems like it's fine. It doesn't seem to be too much of congested. I can see some space in between in there, because remember there are quite a number of traffic lights on that road. There are those at the Sao Paulo Junction. When you reach the main gate of Makerere University, there are traffic lights. So you come in here, also are the main ones at the junction. So you find that if you're coming from areas like Asubi, you're coming in from Namungona, and you're probably heading to Mulago. And you are likely to use the Makerere Road to link in there. You might be delayed a little bit by being overstopped by the various traffic lights. And remember, there are also traffic officers in there on the way. They also play a part in some sort of a way when it comes to whether you leave fast the area or you will be delayed to get to where you are heading to. Yes, so that is the situation like that. And of course, switching our eyes as we take a look at the Bombo Road, talking about people from Kalere, Bwai, so even Gayaza, I guess. That use their route, and those are areas that are known for being heavily populated in some sort of a way. So you can definitely see and find how it's going to be. I can see a number of vehicles that are actually coming in out of here, heading towards town. Some are heading to, majority of them actually heading to town. Yeah, they are just connecting straight through, because there is no, you can make a U-turn and head to Mulago, no way. So maybe some are heading towards the Makerere route to go and execute different activities here. A number of borders, I can see quite many of them. Actually, I saw an image some time back of a lady who died at that spot. It was very saddening, very saddening. I mean, but you see, and you can see how morning hours can actually be really more of rush hours. That's why we need, because by the time I saw this photo, it was like late, like about in the afternoon. I believe the traffic officers were not around at the moment. Probably they would have been able to, have the situation under control for that. Okay, now switching our eyes, of course, taking a look at the Mulago route. Of course, the route that connects, that joins in from Makerere Road and connects to the Mulago roundabout. You can see the vehicles that are coming in from there. Of course, they are not quite many. Can I assume that the Mulago roundabout is not heavily congested, because it's one of also those big problems for the people that use that route along there? Of course, this side it can seem free. That roundabout can really be so much of a congestion. So that is what we are looking at here. The situation like. So if you're coming in from Mulago, you're coming in from Kamucha, and you plan to, and you're heading towards town, well, the only limitation would be the Mulago roundabout. But according to the look of things away from there, this other side seems to be very okay for you, and you'll be able to reach in the required time. That is if you're still home, though. If you can really be away by the next 30 minutes, it will be much more better, because I believe that as it proceeds towards around 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. o'clock, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to actually maneuver through with that. Now you can still see there is some sort of a congestion that is on Kampala Road heading towards the city center. Of course, if you know that area opposite YMCA, but still proceeding through that route. Yes, some slight congestion. Vehicles, of course, being held down a bit, because as you proceed down there is a school known as Bat Valley, right? And sometimes there are quite vehicles that are coming in from other areas connecting to city center. They normally branch off from there. So that's why you see there is that sort of a congestion around that particular area. So you could be a little bit delayed in your operations as a business person that is planning to head to work and execute. You have business appointments to make, to reach. You can see in there still applies. Maybe for the people that are coming in from Kampala, they're heading towards coming to Wandagea, but you're using the Kampala route. That one seems to be a little bit free, because I can even see only one taxi being held exactly there. So that is the situation like at the Wandagea traffic lights, so you can actually make the right decision depending on what you are observing. It's exactly 26 minutes past 7, and that is it for our traffic updates this morning. And this time we're heading into the break. But of course, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which are already anytime from now going to be really operational. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite very simple. *292# should be the USSD code, which will avail you with a number of options where you'll be in position to buy government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the markets will be opening at 8:15 a.m. running all the way to 3:15 p.m. and this is effective up to Friday, apart from the weekends. And this week, remember, has no public holiday, so we have it all the way up to Friday, apart from the weekends where these markets cannot be accessible. Remember, on top of *292#, you have to register with your national identification number. That is all inclusive as you dial *292#. The instruction box in there, you can select others, and you proceed. This is very key and vital for your financial life growth and development. And as Zabu says, my money, my future. And Alltex East Africa tells us, do something new for yourself. It's the year 2023. You're definitely still watching Smart Means Business with Andrew Barija and Masi Katsime here. Let's get into the break. And when we return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening on the East African community and the international community at the same time. But of course, all discussing business. Good morning.